Well, hello there, my darlings, and welcome back to another little episode of WARFRAMES. And today we're taking a little look at Cephalon SIMARIS. Why, may you ask? Because I decided I wanted to get into using my Simulacrum, or Simulacrum, however you pronounce it, more seriously, and Cephalon is the way forward when we're thinking about starting to use our Simulacrum. Now, he does have some other useful things underneath his wings, so let's get into it. Let's see what he's all about, how to earn standing with him, what's going on over there, and yeah, hopefully this will help you in some way. If it does, please drop a like, please drop a sub and or a comment, and I thank you very much for your support. And to unlock Cephalon SIMARIS, in case you didn't know and you're not there yet, you need to have done the new strange quest. This quest will kind of give you a preemptory look into Cephalon and kind of like the scanning of the targets and stuff like that, and you will get the Chroma Warframe blueprint from doing this quest. And I have done a video, I think, of that new strange quest. If you want to go and have a look at it, please do. But you can find Cephalon SIMARIS once you've done this quest on any relay. I happen to have headed to Earth Strata relay, and you can fast travel to Cephalon. You can take the lift and, like, you know, Shanks's pony your way there, which basically means going by foot. So here we are in Cephalon's room, and there are a few very interesting things in this room that you might not know about. But firstly, what's he all about? He basically wants us to scan enemies, targets. Now, I've already triggered one, and that's it on the right, and I can come back here and he can remind me how many I need to do, what my rewards are, and who they are. So this one is a seeker, it's a Grineer enemy. So I'm going to go to a Grineer mission at some point and it'll trigger. And as you can see at the bottom there, it says a random number 32,000. That's my daily standing cap. So Cephalon, even though he's a syndicate, he doesn't have ranks. So all of the items that he sells to you that are available at that point, you can buy if you have the standing. The only thing that's limiting you is your daily standing cap per day. Okay, for scanning the targets you earn standing with him. So Cephalon, he holds a lot of gear under his nosy belt, and to buy it we need to earn standing, and to earn standing we need to scan targets for him. And there is no kind of rank cap. As you can see, we're neutral, there's no way of ranking up. It's 125,000. That's it. You can just keep earning with your daily standing cap. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. The most interesting thing to start with is the synthesis scanner. Can't remember when you actually get it in the game, whether you have to buy it off him. And there are widgets to go on that scanner. The scanners are important because this is how you're going to earn standing with Cephalon. Now, there are two scanners in the game. This one here, the synthesis scanner. The Kinetic siphon trap is basically something that holds the enemies in place while you scan them. And you can also get another scanner from the market. It is called the Codex Scanner. They both have to be equipped to your loadout gear wheel, but you can have either, or they both do the same job. So the Codex Scanner and the Synthesis Scanner. This one can be bought 25 charges for 500 credits. And there are so many other things to look at here. The Simulacrum access key. I'm going to do a separate episode on the Simulacrum, so I will bring that up in that specific episode, which, if it's ready, I will link it at the end of this one. Let's have a look at the other things that are in Cephalon's room, shall we? So just turning away from a Cephalon, and it's to the right of the door as you come in. It's all the mastery tests that are unlocked to you. Now, I'm a Legendary 2 as I record this, and as I went up the ranks, I didn't realise this about this little side room here. Legendary 3 test appeared to be available to me, so I believe I can come here and practice the next test along. I don't know if you have to have a maximum or there's a minimum of affinity to your next rank up or not. I'm not sure, I haven't looked into that, but just come in here and have a look and for yourself. So obviously I've got 32 previous tests, and I think there's a 33rd here waiting for me. And there's another location in this room we need to know about. As you can see, the Simulacrum access key for 50,000 standing. Once you've bought it, will give you access to the Simulacrum. Now, I'm not going to go over that in this episode, but the entry to it is just to the left of the door when you go in, and there are multiple different types of Simulacrum you can eventually collect for you to go and test out your builds, your weapons, your warframes, how they interact with the enemies. But there are some other prerequisites really that you need to think about before you get to this point, and I'm going to go over that very specifically in the Simulacrum episode, so head over there if you'd like to know some more details about that. And the final thing in this room is just behind Cephalon, to like the left of the wares that he sells, is this little thing here, research entries. And if you trigger one of them, it basically will pop up much like the scanning targets we've triggered with Cephalon himself. And it will tell, he'll pop up at the beginning of the mission and say to you, there's a target here, Hunter, if you'd like to scan it for me. And each scan for these individual ones gives you quite a lot of standing. And I have learned that if you do it on Steel Path, you get even more. And of course, you can use your Codex Scanner to do this. But if you use your synthesis scanner with the widget that basically recharges, you can endlessly scan things and not run out of scans, not have to worry about it. So that's something to work towards. Obviously, with your standing limits, you will have to start with the Codex Scanner. Now, there are other bits of equipment within the game that can scan for you, but I don't believe they count as a Cephalon scan. So if you've triggered a target to scan, or you're doing these imprints for him, you have to be the one scanning it. It can't be your equipment, I believe. Those other scans that the equipment will take will be for your simulacrum. So for my targets, I know that I've got Grineer targets to head for. So I've headed to Saturn and I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to do it solo just so I can, you know, do it myself. Now, the one thing that I did learn throughout this whole process is if you are in stealth mode, i.e. invisible, and the enemies aren't aware of you, once you scan a target for whatever reason you're scanning it, and you can just go in and scan targets for Cephalon, regardless of the targets, you will earn a tiny bit of standing. If you do it in stealth mode, you just get a bit more. And if you do it on SP, Steel Path, you get even more. It's just like trialing and erroring it. However, I did so well that I easily stripped out my daily standing cap every time, and it got a bit like, well, I didn't need to be this efficient in a way. So, you know, each to their own. As you can see, I'm Loki at the moment, super stealth. You could take Ivara. I just find her to be incredibly slow, even with her augment mod when she's on prowl, her invisibility ability. But Loki, this Loki build is pretty damn good, and obviously being invisible makes it harder to be killed. And if you don't have Loki and you've unlocked Neptune, head to the hyena pack on Samarv, I think it's called, and do that little boss fight there, and that's where the Loki parts drop from. Now let's talk synthesis scanner. So as you can see, I've just equipped it from my gear wheel because I equipped it on there, and that's the difference between the Codex scanner and the synthesis scanner. This synthesis scanner, as long as you've got it equipped, when you aim down the sight, it will give you some idea where the target may be. And ignore the glowing things. I've got my Helios with me, and Helios is one of the bits of equipment we'll discuss in the Simulacrum episode that will scan things for you. But as you can see, that squirrely whirly kind of pixelated thing in front of us is telling us the direction that the target may be in. Now, the target isn't always in the direction of the mission that you're doing, so you might want to get the target first. Oh, and of course the stalker's popped up. You might want to go and get the target first and then complete your mission, especially if you're solo. And the other thing to be aware of is if you're playing with inexperienced players or very high level players, the target may, although they're much tougher than the normal enemy types in the mission, they may get taken down, or you'll see newer players like swiping the heck out of them, trying to kill them. You're like, no, leave my target, I need to scan it. And we will discuss scanning once we found it. So depending on how quickly you track your target down, Cephalon will sometimes pop in and say, your target's close. And as you can see, it's quite obvious. It's the purple target with the orange balls floating around it to the left there. I got myself confused in the moment and I was trying to capture that one, the Nox. No, it's this one here. And as you can see, the Kinetic siphon trap, I triggered it and it automatically tethered that enemy. Now, it doesn't last long, as you could see. So, I mean, the other option is to bring a cold status effect with you. I've got my Tenet Glaxion later on. We'll have a look at that. That just slows enemies down, unless you're speedy. But there are certain glowing points on the joints of this enemy. As you can see, the knee joint, the elbow, the head. I don't know if they're random. I don't know if there's 3 to 4. I don't know if it's always set. But you've got to scan those glowy points each. And then you get the reward. As you can see, the standing popped up on the screen and it's saying we've done 1 out of 2. Now, this was stealthy, so I've done a non-stealthy one as well because I had 2 targets to do. So I came back and did this exact same mission twice. One with Loki, one with Neza, and Loki was invisible. Now, when I get this target, you'll see it's very similar, the amount of standing. So I don't know if I was truly in stealth with Loki. I don't know. Either way, I got about 3.5 5,000 standing just for scanning these 2 targets. The other thing to note when you're scanning these targets, and this time I took my Tenetglaxian and just gave it a little squirt of cold damage, so it's just slowed it down without having to use the trap. As you can see though, look, I scanned it once I think and it like disappeared, it teleported. So that's one of the things it can do, this enemy. The other thing is it kind of doubles itself up and you've got to scan the original, not the copy. Just hope you've got the right one. I don't know if maybe putting a waypoint on it and enemying it up will help you identify the original. But as you can see, we are now complete for our daily synthesis. So I will head back to Cephalon SIMARIS. That's hard to say. And we'll get our rewards from him.
I can see you are hungry for the knowledge of the sanctuary. Do you ever wonder why only the hunter is rewarded, when it is the specimen who gives all to the sanctuary? I find it best to discard such thoughts.
Ooh, feast dramatic. Anyway, we got 5,000 standing here and 400 endo just for scanning those 2 targets. But of course, we've got standing for each target as well. So all in, we probably got about, what, between 10 and 15,000 standing just for doing that one kind of little job. And now I'm going to show you the imprints, the 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, and how many we got for those. And I did go steel path on these. So yeah, the standing got quite high.
There is a sanctuary targeting hunter. I sense it. Track it with the synthesis scanner. Don't let it escape.
And it was here that I realised that I could just start scanning enemies. Now, I don't know if that's like true of every single mission that I scanned it with my synthesis scanner. I could do this with my Codex Scanner, by the way. It's just that, as you can see, I've got the infinite charge here, so I don't have to buy anything anymore for any of the scanners. So I was like, maybe I'll just scan a few things, and I did, whilst looking for the synthesis target, the 1 out of 10. So I bought my Tenetglaxian, and that has innate cold damage, so it's just slowing things down, even though they look like they're on fire because of my Nether ability. Don't worry about that. These were not Cephalon target scans, these were just me scanning stuff and getting standing for it. Now, I did do this on normal, not steel path, and I got less than 100 standing per enemy. It varies here, but it's always over 100 standing per enemy that I scan. And yeah, that was funsies. Now, I do have the Helios Prime with me in this footage. The Helios Prime is a companion, or the Helios, that has a mod that can scan things for you, but they don't count as Cephalon scans, as in they don't count towards standing scans. They only count towards simulacrum scans, I believe. And we will have a look at Helios Prime, or Helios, in the Simulacrum episode, or maybe even its own episode. We'll see. But at this point, as you can see, I've come back and done another mission. I brought Dante because he's just much better for me on steel path. While you're trying to scan things and you're getting absolutely mullered by the enemies, you kind of need a bit of overguard or some kind of protection. And as you can see, I'm merrily going to town on scanning these enemies. But on this particular one, I do find one of the targets, the imprints, the 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. I think it was, I don't know if it was Seekers or Lancers for this particular one. And we get quite a lot of standing here for those. And as you can see, that was utter chaos, but we got almost 7,000 standing for that one scan. Now, that's like 1 out of 10. Now, obviously, you have a daily standing cap, which you'll max out very quickly doing it this way, if you've got access to Steel Path, but you can do this on normal as well. You'll just get a little less standing, but that's fine, right? It's just another way of ranking up standing with Cephalon if you want to go and buy goodies from him. So there you go, for less than 10 minutes work on Steel Path, we got ourselves just under 10,000 Cephalon SIMARIS standing, which is not too shabby. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is Sanctuary Onslaught. And on this tab here, the Syndicate tab in your navigation, you'll also be able to see your daily SIMARIS task and how far you've got with it. There is also Elite Onslaught. I mean, how much difficulty do you want in your life? But it's kind of like people will try to get their name on a board, which you may have seen behind Cephalon in this footage. Anyway, the Sanctuary Onslaught is where you will go to get your Cora blueprints, but it's also a place where people go to rank things up really damn quickly instead of Sedna Hydron. But the Elite Sanctuary Onslaught is just so much more difficult, and they will temporarily disable your abilities if you pop them too quickly. I no. I mean, you might also get relics or a synthetic Eidolon shard or endo from doing these SOs, as they call them, so feel free to come and fill your boots. I don't come here very often, as you may have noticed on my channel. You don't see much Sanctuary Onslaught stuff. Guys, if you know if there's another reason to come here other than the things I just mentioned, apart from ranking up and getting your name on the board for the elite one, please tell me, because I'd be interested to know. I just find it a little bit boring and tedious. But if you're not sure what the Sanctuary Onslaught is, it's basically like a survival. But you have to kill the enemies efficiently, quickly. So you've got this efficiency meter on the left. It's set at 100%, and it will keep diminishing, much like the air in a survival mission. And the way you keep your efficiency up is to kill things as quickly as possible. These samples, these targets that Cephalon has put in here for us. And each round is a different tile set. There will be a conduit at the beginning and the end of each round. It's up to you if you want to go through the conduit and continue on to the next round. Obviously, it gets more and more difficult to keep the kills up depending on who you're with, etc. And if you don't want to continue, you just don't go through the conduit and just stay in this round, and it won't fail you. You just exit it. Bit like not choosing to continue on a void fisher mission and everyone else stays on without you. It's fine. You don't fail it per se. You just come out of the mission with your rewards up to that point. Exactly the same vibe. And if you're doing it for Nightwave, and say you have to do 8 rounds for Nightwave, you don't have to do them all at the same time. You can come out after doing 2 or 3, go back in, and they'll add them up together. Okay, just in case you didn't know that, my darlings. Anyway, there you go. That's the conduit. Am I going through it? Am I not? Who knows? Every time you go through a conduit, it wipes off every bit of progress you made, like with energy orbs and things like that. By the way, the Sanctuary Onslaught doesn't drop anything apart from energy orbs. There's no like goodies to be found here. This is not a loot goblin's paradise, by the way. But they will give you energy and health orbs. And maybe ammo. But yeah, you start each round as if you're starting a brand new mission. Just bear that in mind. And like I said, the elite Sanctuary Onslaught just penalises you endlessly for spamming your ability. So you have to think out of the box slightly for the kills, you know. AoE weapons might be useful at that point, who knows. Anyway, my darlings, I just want to say thank you for being here. I hope some of this helped you in any way, or you just like listening to my dulcet tone. Do you like my company? That would fill me with joy as well. I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subbing, commenting, whatever you're doing. I do appreciate you for it. Please come and join us on the Discord. You are more than welcome. The link is on my channel. But in the meantime, my darlings, thank you for being here. I really do hope to see you again in the next one, no matter what that may be. It's going to be the Simulacrum. What was I saying? Yeah, bye. I'm just going to say bye.